Okay, so today's theory is going to be on Attack on Titan. And who better to talk about than Mikasa Ackerman? So I'm an anime only watcher at this point in time, and from what we know about Mikasa, she's kind of mysterious. I mean, we know she loves Eren, like loves Eren, and that she's part of the Ackerman lineage, which consists of Levi and Kenny Ackerman. So we kind of know where her badassery comes from, as well as her stern and stiffness when it comes to interacting with others. But what we know from the anime so far, there is not much backstory to her character, and that means that sooner or later she's going to be very important down the line. And after watching this video, you'll come to see why I think that Mikasa is working for the Malians. So there are going to be spoilers for seasons 1 to 4 of AOT, so make sure you catch up before watching. So I'm going to start with where she comes from, which was shown that her parents were killed and that she was taken by human traffickers to be sold off to old men who have an oriental finish. Apparently, Mikasa's mother is from an ancestry of people called the Orientals, and her father is an Ackerman. So Mikasa is a mix of those two separate bloodlines. The flashback that we see from Mikasa's perspective shows 3 attackers kill her parents in cold blood, while they knock Mikasa out and take her away to their hideout. But something about this whole sequence is very fishy to me. And it starts with the fact that Eren and his dad, Grisha Jaeger, show up to their house on the same day that the traffickers show up as well. And judging by later how fast Eren and his dad found their hideout without the traffickers leaving, Eren and his dad must have showed up at Mikasa's house fairly quickly after the attackers killed the parents. See, that seems way too convenient to be a coincidence, especially for a show as meticulous and careful with its details and events like Attack on Titan is. Now, I want to talk about the traffickers in questions, the ones who stole Mikasa away to sell her off. Isn't it kind of weird that we don't see the traffickers talk about how they found out or got information when Mikasa and her family lived? See, the reason I bring this up is because I think the traffickers are actually Malians, and that they were tasked to stage a fake kidnapping of Mikasa. This might sound too much, but you just have to look at the details. Both parties showing up on the same day, as well as showing up rather close to each other in terms of time, is something that is very unprecedented. However, if the so-called traffickers are instead working for Mali, then it would make sense for this timing to occur. The Malians must have known that Grisha had information on the founding Titan, and was widely sought after following the events of Season 3 Part 2, where Grisha was able to flee Mali to Paradise Island. So, the traffickers were actually there to get Grisha then, right? Well, that wouldn't make sense either. Because, if you can remember when Grisha was ratted on by Zeke the Snitch, his son, he was interrogated and tortured, but he would never disclose any details about the resistance or his involvement. So they knew that kidnapping him was useless. Instead, they shifted their gaze towards Mikasa and concocted a master plan that is still yet to be uncovered by Eren and his friends. So let's go back to the scene of Mikasa's parents being murdered and Mikasa on the floor. The attacker who murdered her mother grabbed Mikasa and told her that if she did not put up a fight, then she would not be hurt. However, the attacker immediately contradicts himself and knocks her out. I was constantly questioning that scene and wondering why. The attacker saw her traumatized and unable to move, so what made him knock her out as well? Well, because it allowed them to work on Mikasa's mind, and while she was unconscious, the attackers would be able to put some sort of mind control or brainwashing apparatus within her body. either through some sort of injection or maybe some kind of device that burrows into her brain directly. However, that last part does seem very implausible. But if the Malians were working on some sort of serum of sorts that would be able to completely garner full control of a human's body and mind, Mikasa would be a great choice. The Malians know that Grisha was stubborn and he would never tell anyone shit. So Malian tacticians banked on the fact that Grisha would start a new family on Paradise Island and would tell his offspring all the secrets he knew. And while scouting Paradise Island, they knew, and even Grisha mentioned this himself, that there were not many children Eren's age in their area. So the Malians used this information to create a situation in which Eren and Mikasa would unite and create a long-lasting friendship that would ultimately work towards the Malians' favor. Another point to make is the instance after Mikasa wakes up after being knocked unconscious and seeing two of her assailants arguing. Mikasa hears their whole conversation about Orientals and how Mikasa's mother was a full-blooded Oriental herself. But what if I told you that this quote-unquote argument was constructed and orchestrated from the very beginning? Think about the timing of Mikasa waking up and her hearing the history of Orientals being laid out to her by one of the kidnappers. To be honest, that brief but important monologue did not really feel like it made sense there, both in a realistic sense, as well as it feeling kind of forced in order to lay out more exposition. But if you think of this information being heard from the freshly awakened ears of Mikasa, who takes in that information and associates that as to the reason why she was kidnapped, the Malians planned it out this way so that the chances of her remembering anything about the procedure in which she's effectively brainwashed and under the control of the Malian high-ranking officials. Think about how Eren and his father so easily found the kidnappers' hideout and was able to take out two grown men. You might say that he played the role of an innocent child well to lower the guard of the two men, but I am not sold on the fact that the two men were so unwary of an attack they could not see Eren holding one arm behind his back, or when the first attacker was stabbed, he could not have even screamed to alert his accomplice. There are just too many inconsistencies in those scenes that make me think there is more here than meets the eye. I have not even mentioned the third attacker, who was for some inexplicable reason nowhere to be found in the hideout, and conveniently comes to the house just when Mikasa and Eren are about to escape. In fact, I'd say it makes more sense that the third member of the kidnapping little children trio was actually in charge of leading Eren and his dad to their hideout, and chose to appear just when the action had ended. I mean, just look at how the third man attacks Eren and repeatedly yells, "I'm going to kill you," while choking out Eren. I find it hard to believe that throughout the sequence of Eren being strangled, a grown adult man would struggle so much with choking out a little kid. But not only that, Eren was able to tell Mikasa to fight to live while getting strangled. While the man continues to blab on about killing Eren without even paying attention to Mikasa. Like seriously, he did not even glance at Mikasa until she was full running behind him with a knife. The overwhelming stupidity in that single man is absurd. So absurd to the point where it would make more sense that the man was putting on an act and purposely sacrificed his life so that Mikasa and Eren's newfound relationship could only blossom from here on out. These three men who supposedly kidnapped Mikasa to sell her off were actually Malian soldiers, willing to put their lives on the line for their country and their people, so that their families, friends, and fellow citizens may continue to live on, and that the land of Mali may forever prosper on. That finally brings us to what this development means for Eren and Mikasa, not to mention the rest of the Survey Corps. This plan set out by the Malians involves sacrifice, and will continue to involve patience. But when the time comes when decisiveness and action must be taken, this grand and arduous scheme may pay off and result in the end of Eren and their survey corps. The only issue that I'm having with this theory is knowing what the so-called trigger would be that sets off Mikasa and her betrayal. Could it be that the Malians have some sort of device that is capable of controlling Mikasa? Or maybe a way to control her by using words alone? This is actually something I'm really confident could happen down the road. And like I said, I'm not caught up with the manga at all, but I really wonder how much more Mikasa has been explored and what she will bring to the table, as well as her role down the line. So thanks for watching the video, and if you want to discuss, feel free to leave a comment, and thanks for watching. Bye.